Yo, 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 and welcome back to the Banter Boys podcast. My name is Sanji. With me is Ben. How you doing, boy?
I'm pretty good, Sanjay. We've just had a bit of fun and games.
Yeah, I mean, just a little technical stuff, issues, things. But I'm so glad to have you on this episode. Ben, did you know that this is the 100th episode of the Banter Boys podcast?
Happy birthday to you.
Oh, thank you so much.
Fantastic.
I know. You know what? It's so fitting having the Centurion Club on the Centurion episode, It was like we were meant to be,
That's right.
But okay, so before we get started, I'm gonna do the social plug quickly because I keep forgetting to do this for all the episodes. Ross usually does it, but he's not here. He's enjoying his break still. So I'm gonna quickly tell listeners, if you're on Twitter or if you're on Instagram, come follow us, come chat with us. We're at BanterB. We're also on Discord on channel number 6585. We're on Reddit. We post our episodes there as well at u/banter_boys. And you can find all our podcasts on anchor.fm, which shares it to Spotify, Apple, Google Podcasts, SoundCloud, and more. And we're also on YouTube, but I should probably start uploading again there. But yeah, we're here for Manchester City. Ben, you know what?
You're in a lot of places.
I mean, yeah, we got to try and get as many listeners, as many fans as possible. We want to help as many people in the Fantrax game as possible, right? So, Ben, let's get started with the fan introduction segment. Tell us your name. Tell us your Twitter handle. Which club are you representing tonight? Where are you from? Like, which part of the world? And what do you do?
Sure. Very pleased to be here. My name's Ben Garside. I'm at Ben Chickens. I am here to represent Manchester City, which I'm very fortunate to be able to go and see in person. I live in the north of England, in some beautiful countryside between Barnsley and Huddersfield, where the accommodation isn't so expensive and people are very blunt. What do? I work in healthcare, around the legal aspects, around safeguarding people who can't make decisions about their care and support, to make sure that they're safe and happy. That's my job. That
is awesome. Ben, I don't know if you know this, but I'm actually right now doing an MSc in rehabilitation engineering. So I'm all about medical devices and helping people. So it's good. We have another thing in common,
Sure, that's good. Yeah, I mean, the key to it is people being safe and happy.
Exactly. Yeah. That's what we're about. Just making sure people are happy, enjoying life as well. Yeah. All right. So typically how we do these episodes is we have a bit of a general discussion. We're going to chat a bit about the impact of any new manager or ownership. But, things have been fairly stable at Manchester City for a while, right? As opposed to other clubs like, my own. But then we're going to look at the club's previous season performance, which we all know, another trophy in the bag, right? We're gonna look though at new season expectations, talk about old assets, new assets, the impact of new transfers, how they might affect the formation moving forward, the starting 11, which is going to be very interesting for Manchester City given the new fancy shiny additions up front. We're going to talk about the impacts of the 5 sub rules, a bit about the World Cup, and then obviously jump into like the draft aspect of the game, what Ben's first pick would be, his next 3 picks, maybe 1 or 2 hidden gems, and then round things off with how he goes about trading in the Fantrax game.
That sounds fantastic. Yeah, there's a lot to go for. Get me started.
All right, let's do it. So, I mean, there's no real new manager, new ownership, but is there anything that has maybe changed in like the backroom coaching stuff or anything that you think might affect the next season, anything moving forward? I mean, Arteta left a few seasons ago, but is there anything that the average fan doesn't know about?
Yeah, the academy coach has moved to Southampton.
Okay.
So you've noticed quite a few players like Lavia going to Southampton, and also talk about Delap maybe going to Southampton or Burnley. So in terms of youngsters, there's also been a huge clear out. If you follow Sam Lee on The Athletic, he will have been pointing out to you that City have gone about doing £40 million worth of academy business. And what City are doing here is they're selling off assets. And you might think, well, why are they doing that? Is that just a Chelsea fan? And no dig intended. But is that just a Chelsea fan? No, what they're doing, they're restructuring. They've found a new market, effectively. And you might be cynical about this, is they're actually selling off players to Premier League clubs with a buyback clause or a sell-on clause. So this is attractive to the team that's buying, and it's also attractive to the city, so they can actually get what I call it's a cuckoo system.
Yeah.
They can move the player and get some other bird to bring it up, and then decide to have the player back if they want to. So that actually players that are going out on loan, the message sadly to them is that you don't have much future with City.
For sure,
So those small manoeuvres. I mean, we'll move on to the larger stuff like Sterling, and Jesus and Zinchenko.
Yeah.
I can talk through that. I mean, the big changes are around Haaland. And all this is about trying to pay for Haaland's big wage bill. That's my understanding. But also, City are selling Jesus and Sterling when they've got 1 year left on their contract. So they're actually, Arsenal, and even dare I say it, Chelsea can actually afford the players at that stage. They can afford the 40 and 50 million. And good luck to Jesus and to Sterling. They need to go to get their dreams, particularly Jesus, who wants to play as that front striker for Brazil. So lots of moves are happening in the context of the World Cup for me this season. Yeah,
for sure. I mean, you talked about Rory Delap, right? Possibly, let's say, moving to Southampton. Liam Delap. Sorry about that. Yeah. So if Delap moves to Southampton, would you think he's a Fantrax asset to consider for next season?
Yes, given the poorness of the Southampton lineup.
Yeah,
I would certainly go for him. I think it's unlikely. I think it's more likely goes into the safe hands of Vincent Kompany at Burnley. But I would like to see him get some Premier League time. His last season he was very he suffered a lot of injury. I'd like to see what it's like in Premier League. Again, it's okay. It's okay. Players getting fantastic numbers in under 23s, but that means nothing until they've come up with the big boys. So again, your man Broja, he did well at the start of last season, and then tailed off towards the end. But again, I think Southampton's a good place for Man City, and again, they've got the academy coach ex of Man City there to support. So I wouldn't say it's impossible. Delap's gone to America, which is good. We're told that there's no decision made. I suspect. I fear that he's going to Burnley, but I'd rather him went to Southampton when he might be a nice, useful little asset for someone to pick up late in the draft.
Yeah, very true. Okay, let's talk a little bit about the previous season. So another Premier League trophy in the bag, right? I mean, it's almost. I'm gonna sound like a broken record when it comes to Manchester City and titles, right? In the English league. I mean, maybe we can spend a minute or two talking about Champions League. I know this isn't a Champions League podcast or fantasy related to Champions League, but do you think there's now even more and more hunger to get that trophy? And maybe that hunger for that trophy might affect the playing time for assets that we're drafting in the actual EPL game?
Yeah. I mean, I've got an unusual view, and my brother would disagree strongly with me. My brother Richard, he would disagree strongly with me, but I don't think Pep's going to win it with the Champions League with Man City.
Yeah.
He has an ability to overcomplicate matters.
Yes.
When they're not overcomplicated.
Agreed. Yeah.
And there's some mental block there. He's such an intense fella. He just blows it.
Yeah.
And my difficulty is that I'm a big fan of Klopp.
Yeah.
That's my danger.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of Klopp. But you can't choose your team, you can't choose your manager. But I'm a big fan of Klopp because he gets his team working as a squad.
Yeah.
Pep's mentality is to get the team playing as a squad, but they're playing as individuals.
Yeah.
And he's very much, again, like Totti Andor would say, it's about favourite toys from the top of the house being pulled downstairs to be played with for a short while and then thrown back upstairs. So that when you're under tough situations, there's not that squad mentality to fight back. You might get it. Like you might score 3 against Aston Villa in the last day, but you can't rely upon it. You can suddenly fade like you did in the semi-final of the Champions League. And I think it's a sad... For me, it's one of the downsides of Pep's intensity is that he doesn't see bigger the squad mentality, the developing of players, the developing of maybe 6 centre backs rather than just 2 or 3 that you have to rely on, and they go paper thin. So I am disappointed about Champions League. That's the cup we want. I'm disappointed that Man City threw away the FA Cup. Where they didn't want to win the semi-final. It was tactical. I'm very pleased that they won the league. But yes, this isn't an overall podcast. This is Premier League. And again, last 2 seasons, Man City have gone in ill prepared for the Premier League. This season they've got 2 matches in America, and then they're going straight into the Charity Shield. The stupidity of Gundogan and Foden not to get vaccines means that they're training in Croatia with the under-23s. That's not a good way to start. However, Pep manages to find a way somehow. I don't know how he does it. He manages to find a way. So you just have to trust with Pep.
How did you find final day of the season? That bit of a roller coaster of emotions, with Liverpool first conceding and then Aston Villa going 2-0 up almost. It seemed like, Liverpool were going to snatch it away. But then, again, like you said, Pep finds a way. And then Gundogan saves the day with a brace, if I'm not mistaken.
Gundogan is such a fine player. He was the very first acquisition from Pep when he came into Man City. He brought him over from Germany, and he's such a reliable player. I go to most of my football matches with Nuala, my daughter, 19, who you've met earlier on.
Technical support.
Technical support, extreme. And I interviewed her just this afternoon in the sunshine. I said, talk me through some players. And she's very direct. She said, Gundogan, he's just a star player. He knows what to do, and he does it.
100%.
And he just delivered. So I was just very pleased to hear City. And again, no surprises, a lot of drama. City have always done things the difficult way. Right back to when they were much further down the divisions. They've always done things the difficult way. So no great surprise. I didn't have great doubts. I think Liverpool lost it at Tottenham. When Tottenham came to them, but that's where they lost. That's where they
that
lost
draw, 100%.
And in fairness, Liverpool had too many things on.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, so what are your new season expectations? Another title? Have you just gotten used to it that if you don't win it, it's going to be a massive disappointment?
Again, having said that, our priority would be the Champions League. It's got to be the Champions League. And then, of course, there's the Man City Cup, otherwise known as the League Cup. we didn't win it last season, so that's a disappointment. But no, seriously, it's the Champions League. In terms of the league, it's about building momentum. And just keeping going and trying to keep on with the wins. Other teams have now, including Chelsea, including Tottenham, including Liverpool, they're all going to be big challengers. So I don't expect it to get easier in the Premier League. And I think what Pep has to be careful of, and he always dices with this, is going wafer thin. Having Fernandinho in your defence is not a good idea. I was looking forward to Ake getting sold to your beloved Chelsea. Because he's poor. And I was thinking 40 million for this man. He's a nice fella, but he's rubbish as a footballer.
He's not good.
Sadly, City didn't back off because Chelsea weren't offering enough. But Zinchenko's going to be a big loss. I think... my worry is about the wafer-thin squad. So it's about keeping going. I really do want to make sure we got Cucurella
Yeah.
Is that how you pronounce his name?
Cucurella, I think.
Cucurella. That sounds much better.
Yeah.
That sounds much more football-y than me.
Well, I mean, we can kind of mix together now, talking about like the ins and outs a little bit to kind of blend into the expectations, right? Because if we go as far back as January 2022, Ferran Torres left, and then I think that was probably the only big name at that time.
Yeah.
If we come closer to the summer, Fernandinho's gone, Gabriel Jesus is gone, Raheem Sterling is gone, and now most recently Zinchenko is gone. But at the same time, you guys got in last January at that time, but I think he stayed at River Plate on loan, was Julian Alvarez, who might be part of the plans for this season moving forward. But then let's talk a little bit about maybe Calvin Phillips as well. I don't want to. I'm gonna leave the big name for the last one, right? I'll save that gem for the last. But how do you feel about all these big names going out and then a couple ones coming in? Like, who are you most gutted about leaving? First of all,
I'm not, in an odd kind of way, I'm most gutted about Zinchenko.
Yeah,
it's an odd one.
Yeah,
in that he is a utility player. Nicknamed Kevin, because he looks like Kevin De Bruyne, and he's really developed. Again, I go to my matches with Nuala, my daughter, and she very quickly picked out that when he first started, you could play any ball you wanted to behind him. Now he's really developed, particularly on the Ukraine ticket. His confidence has really grown, and I think it's good for him to. So I'm disappointed about him going because we're weak on the left side.
We're
weak on the left side. It was time for Jesus to go. It was time for Sterling to go. They needed to do bigger things. And they were there, and for different reasons, neither of them got the playing time they wanted. So it was good for them to go. It was good for City to cash in. So that's a win-win. In terms, so those are the Alvarez. I'm really looking forward to. The question is. He's played for River Plate. He's a small town boy. Used to live. That's his first team. He's done very, very well. Can this translate? You have to be really big to move countries, to move language. He doesn't speak any English at all. But if the football's good enough, certainly Kun Aguero thinks he's good enough. So if Kun Aguero thinks he's good enough, I'm happy to give him a go. And certainly they're happy to let Delap go, which suggests they're comfortable enough with the alternatives. In terms of Mr. Phillips, I'm still yet to be convinced. I think it's great because he's English talent, and again, you need to improve the numbers of English players in terms of the home quota that we need to have for the team. I think he gives much more solidity and allows a double pivot. Particularly useful against the tough teams because previously we were using Bernardo and Gundogan in the double pivot when we were playing tougher teams, and teams were getting through. So I think that gives a lot more flexibility.
So would you be drafting either one of these guys, like Alvarez or Phillips, and which round would you be drafting them in?
Late. Late for Alvarez. I'm not sure I really draft Phillips. I'd rather see what happens. When I say late, I'm talking about 13, 14, 15, 16.
Yeah. Okay. So
because he's not. And again, you could it depends whether you block up a spot. I'm not sure he's going to get immediate minutes unless the person you haven't mentioned yet does break his fibula, which I hope he doesn't. So that shocked a few people, didn't it? So I wouldn't be rushing to get Mr. Phillips. People didn't rush to get him when he was playing for Leeds, so I see no different. He's going to get less minutes. So I wouldn't be taking him, but I think he's going to be significant against those tougher teams.
Okay, fair enough. And there was another transfer in that you guys had, Ortega Moreno. Can you kind of touch on him a little bit?
He's definitely coming as a second goalkeeper. Because Zach Steffen's gone out on loan, which again is good for for American fans. It's good for them that Zach's getting game time. I think he's there. He's ambitious. When presented to the crowds, he was saying, Ederson's a good player, but I'm come here to try and get some minutes. So I'm hoping with so many games, and I'm hoping with Ederson going to Brazil that he does get some proper minutes, say in the cup matches.
Okay.
So I think he is definitely second goalkeeper.
Okay, lovely. So I want to kind of touch on Raheem Sterling a little bit, right? So a few fun facts. Sterling has scored more league goals for Manchester City than any other player under Pep Guardiola. 85 of them, right? After him is Aguero with 82, Gabriel Jesus with 58. Now, 2 of those players have left your club, right? Again, on Raheem Sterling, another number I kind of want to mention is the most Manchester City goals since 2015-2016. Aguero with 153, Raheem Sterling with 131, and Gabriel Jesus with 95 of them. So now let's move on to... Oh, by the way, thank you so much for Sterling. I do appreciate that transfer, but let's move on to the big name, and I think the one that fans and Trax players are most excited to talk about is Erling Haaland, right? So the numbers that I've kind of mentioned, these outs, do you think the likes of Haaland can fill that massive gap? Because that's a lot of goals that you've kind of shipped out now.
I don't think... I mean, again, City under Pep, it's always been about the team providing the goals rather than one main player.
Mm-hmm.
Certainly he is the man. The way he presents himself, he wants to be the man.
Yeah.
I think he might be surprised when he gets to City and actually playing. Again, we're recording this before the first pre-season match, so it's difficult to tell.
Yeah.
But he is the man. The system will need to adapt to him, but he will need to adapt to the system.
Yeah.
Again, I see the comparison with Kun Aguero is that Pep wasn't happy with Kun being the man.
Yeah.
He said, you're going to be playing back.
Yeah.
You're going to be playing into the team.
Yeah.
So what I see is that, yes, the team will be set up to feed Haaland, but Haaland's going to have to change. The team's going to have to be quicker. At the moment, they play possession football. They'll now be playing possession plus moving the ball quicker to the big man up front. And again, it's a huge adaptation. He's got the language, he's got the culture, he's moved from teams to teams, he's not got the good sickness record, but it's still going to be a bit of a shock. So if you're I'll go straight to it. If you're going to ask me, am I going to take him in the first round? No, I'm not going to take him in the first round.
Really? That's very interesting. So which round are you looking at then?
He will be taken in the first round.
Yeah, he will be,
again,
for sure. For sure.
Again, to quote Totti Andor and Draft Genie, that's somebody else's problem. if he does well, that's somebody else's problem. If he does badly, that's somebody else's problem. It won't be mine.
Okay, interesting. So, if he's not going in the first round, then why don't you rattle off players that deserve to be picked before him? I mean, all clubs included. Who would you go for then?
Oh, well, you're not going to catch me out there. There could be many people listening. I'm happy to tell you that. I'm happy to tell you the Man City City players.
Yeah, sure. The City players that you take before Haaland, then.
Oh, definitely. I would take the main man, Kevin.
Yeah, first round still.
First round still? You're questioning whether he's first round material?
I mean, I've seen him drop to like 7th and 8th pick in a 12-man league, which shocked me to my core.
All right. Well, I'd grab him at 7 and 8. Certainly would.
Really? Why would he not be going as the top 3 picks? Because I mean, with the likes of Haaland, you think that now Kevin has a main man to kind of feed, right? So maybe more key passes in that sense.
Yeah. I'm thinking that Kevin is going to gain from having Haaland there. Certainly, I was one of the most disappointed supporters seeing that Kevin had lost his mojo at the start of last season. Yeah. And I was hoping he was going to get it back. He did get it back. Yeah. Again, back to my interview with my daughter this afternoon when I said, well, what do you think about players? She said, well, Kevin. I said, what's your favourite player? Kevin. She said, he doesn't go chasing after the ball. He waits for the ball to come in and then he uses it. It's just really simple stuff. Yeah. He knows what he's doing. And so while he's on the pitch, his points in the bag. Yeah. So I think while he's on the pitch and he's got Haaland to play with, I think that's going to be good for him. I'd rather bank on Kevin than an unknown such as Haaland. Haaland might do superbly well. Yeah. But I'd rather... The only downside for Kevin, if you're picking him in the first 6, say, is he's a midfielder. Yeah. Again, we hear a lot of talk. around the shortage of forwards.
Mm.
There are some people like I predict a Pyatt who suggest that maybe that's been overrun and we have got enough forwards for people to lay back on and picking them. But certainly in terms of quality, I would be astounded and I'd be grabbing Kevin at 7 and 8 without a question. Without a question.
That's interesting because for the past few seasons, we've always had a shortage of midfielders. I feel like we've had a plethora of forwards to choose from. So, I mean, other than Kevin, are there any other players that you're going to pick before Haaland?
I would pick Cancelo before Haaland.
Okay, yeah, I can rock with that for sure.
I mean, I'm no technician, and you know that. I'm no statistical genius, and you know that. But I do follow statistics, and Cancelo, his statistics are huge.
Yeah.
Again, Totti Andor's big on overthinking's quality starts.
Yeah.
His quality start figures, I'll let the listeners look it up.
Yeah.
They're astounding.
Yeah.
Cancelo, our new number 7.
Mm-hmm.
Again,
I saw that.
This is
today.
Up to date news, which has shocked conventional people like Genie.
Yeah.
I think he is a huge ability, even though his game will change.
Yeah.
Again, with the Brighton player coming in, who you can pronounce his name better than I can.
Cucurella.
That's right, on cue. With him coming in, I think Cancelo could potentially move to a wing back.
Okay.
Move further up forward, or he goes to the right wing.
Okay.
And takes on Walker or in front of Walker. So I think there are great. A number of people are down on Cancelo.
Okay.
I don't think he suddenly disappears from those huge figures that he's putting in.
Yeah.
So certainly, we're going free flow here, aren't we? But I would say, Kevin would be my first choice.
Yeah.
Cancelo would be my second.
Okay. Brilliant.
And that's before I've touched Haaland.
Yeah. Okay, cool. So there are a few other names I kind of want to get through as well, really quickly. But one guy in particular I do want to talk about is Jack Grealish. I'm actually quite high on Jack Grealish for this season, and Ben is shaking his head at me in disappointment and doubt. But I mean, he was 3rd for key passes last season. He was, I think, 10th in the Manchester City players in terms of points scored, if I'm not mistaken, as well. 76th overall rank. The reason why I'm kind of tipping Grealish to have a better season is because he's finally gonna have a focal point striker to play with. And the last time we saw him thrive off like a, let's say, quote-unquote similar system was when he played with Ollie Watkins at Aston Villa. So do you think there's any chance that maybe we can see the Jackie of old come back to his best?
Well, I hope so.
Yeah.
I really do hope so.
Yeah.
From me watching him, actually at the, when I'm very fortunate to go to the matches. When I've been watching him, he looks what I would call overawed. He looks a bit like, what have I come into?
Yeah.
And again, I asked my daughter, because sometimes my daughter is much more direct than me.
Yeah.
And she said, he runs up and down the field. He doesn't know what he's doing. And he said, I would have thought that Pep would have put him straight. Now that's Yorkshire language.
Yeah.
So maybe he'll get used to it.
Yeah.
She said he's got good floppy hair. This is a 19-year-old. He said she's got good floppy hair, but looks like he's had a bit of a shock.
Yeah. I mean, when the move first happened, I will admit that he never struck me as a Pep sort of Man City system sort of player, because he likes to hold on to the ball a lot. Like, that was his thing, right? Get the ball, dribble past a bunch of people, and then maybe provide the assist, key pass, all that sort of stuff. And it feels like the play slows down a little bit when the ball comes to him in the Manchester City system. So I don't know, like, thoughts about that?
Yeah, I think he's been the big fish in a small pond, and he used to run the system in Aston Villa, and he's a very skillful player.
Yeah.
Here he's taking a different role. It was his first season. There's lots of stuff written by very intelligent observers around second season syndrome with City. So I do hope he does well.
Yeah.
He's got opportunities because Sterling will disappear from in front of him. And sometimes Jesus will be playing in front of him. So he's got more chance. He does have those figures about getting in the box. So I do hope he gets that confidence.
Yeah.
I just think he just needs to adapt and stop, as my daughter says, stop running up and down the field. and he hopes that he starts understanding. I mean, Pep obviously believes in him.
Yeah.
Somebody's paid a huge amount of money for him.
Yeah.
But as you point out, Sanjay, he didn't look like a sort of like a system player.
Yeah.
He looked like dare I say it, a prima donna.
I love it.
I don't think he's going to be a prima donna there for long.
Okay, interesting. All right, so let's do like some quick fire answers here. I'm gonna mention some names, and you tell me which round you think is best to kind of draft these Manchester City assets. Sure. Phil Foden.
Third.
Okay. Bernardo Silva.
Well, he's a really interesting player. It depends if you want a regular little motor that's going to keep you going and score lots of points.
Yeah.
You could take him. Well, I'd hope you'd be able to get him in the fourth.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
You might reach him in the third if you've got a good first two.
Yeah.
He's going to get minutes.
Yeah.
And if he gets more minutes, he did last season, and I see no reason why not. He might still yet go abroad, but I think it's unlikely. So I'm going for fourth there.
Okay, this one I'm very interested to know. Riyad Mahrez.
Again, that Mahrez is a forward, so it depends how you're stacked up in your first couple of rounds.
Yeah.
I wouldn't really want to be taking him in the first two.
Okay. All right.
Again, I keep on saying third, and third's not my answer for everything.
Yeah.
But you might decide to reach if your first pick, and maybe if you're early in the picking, so maybe you're third. And you've got a mid and a forward. You go for Mahrez coming back on your early third.
Yeah.
But I'd hope he'd last to the third.
Okay.
But I can see people take him in the second because his figures are so good. His touch is so good when he's on the pitch.
Yeah.
And it depends on whether you're going to punt. And again, we're going to come on to the first 11.
Yeah.
Are you going to punt for him being on the right hand side?
Yeah.
With playing into Haaland.
Yeah. Yeah.
He's certainly not going to. What Haaland will do is he'll take a lot of that space in the middle. He'll take the box space.
Yeah.
So it's whether you believe that Mahrez can do that. But I think he's a superb player. His touch is supreme. He's just got a new contract. And we know how that sometimes affects players in terms of improving their quality.
Yeah.
Sometimes they sit back though.
Yeah.
If you're Benteke, but he's no Benteke.
Yeah. Not at all.
He's a motivated young man who's had his difficulties with the crowd.
Yeah.
Because remember when he said he was going to PSG and PSG was his home club.
Yeah.
The crowd turned against him. But he's come back through that shit. Sorry, language.
It's okay. You're allowed to curse on this podcast.
He's come back through that shit, and he's now playing extremely well if he gets the minutes. Again, with all these City players, it's about the minutes.
Yeah.
When they're playing, they'll get huge points.
Yeah.
So all the way through, all the people you've mentioned so far, even including Grealish, will get large points for the minutes. It's about where they fit into the rest of your roster. That's the key thing.
Yeah. Yeah, it's very interesting that you keep talking about like the minutes, because I mean Mahrez actually only ended up playing 1,473 minutes last season and actually had the most number of substitution appearances with 13 of them, right? Mind you, that still produced 16 goals and assists in total, which was the third tied highest, I think, right? Sure. Behind Kevin De Bruyne, Sterling, and he was tied with Gabriel Jesus, right? So Mahrez is gonna be like, I feel like one of those things that like you could gamble on it, but the gamble could easily pay off.
That's right. And again, last season, I think following people like Draft Lad and following people like Genie, he's a good name. Because even if he doesn't perform well, you can trade him out. So last
Yeah.
year, he was not having the best to start the season. I'd taken him in the second round,
Mhm.
and I traded him out for Maddison,
That's a good trade.
which was good for me
Yeah.
because Maddison then started performing. But then Mahrez came back as well.
Yeah.
So again, with these big quality names, you know that City are going to score goals. The big challenge is: do you think that the big fish up top is going to take all those goals away?
Yeah.
But
True.
having said that, the ghost points
Mm-hmm.
for these Man City players, and again a plug out to overthinking. All the overthinking stats point to whether you're looking at VAR,
Mm-hmm.
whether you're looking at quality starts,
Mm-hmm.
whether you're looking at points per 90. These are elite players, so they will be going in rounds 3, 2, and sometimes in 1.
Yeah.
Some the people that you're looking to drop
Mm-hmm.
lower down are your Gundogan's, who again on his day is a supreme player, but will he get the same minutes?
Yeah.
With Phillips coming in,
Yeah.
and again Alvarez, can you take him late on before anybody else takes him cheeky late on?
Yeah.
Sometimes with these cheeky late ons, you wait too long, don't you? And it's gone.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, speaking of Gundogan, which round would you risk picking him in then?
I wouldn't be taking him before the 6th.
Okay. All right. What about Rodri? Would you take Rodri before Gundogan?
I would probably take Rodri before Gundogan.
Yeah.
Because again, it's your roster.
Yeah.
You need some steady little numbers.
Yeah.
I certainly in my roster, I need 2 or 3 steady little numbers that I can rely. Because again, City do have those Sunday matches.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you're going to have some kind of cover. Which is always the danger with City, is that they have those late matches, and if you go on your own, so I would always look to try and get a second City player if you can, even if it's Palmer, or McAtee,
Okay.
or Edison, or one of the defenders.
Yeah.
Really with City, and again, this is about how you run your roster.
Yeah.
You need to have 2 City players there, really.
Yeah. Okay.
Otherwise, you could be struggling. You're very close to winning a head-to-head in the last game, and you find there's no City players to stream.
Yeah. Excellent. All right, let's move on now, I think, to starting 11 formation. Yeah. What have you got for us?
Okay, well, the back 5 is fairly easy, unless you want to go into discussion about those.
I mean, we can mention the names, and let's see where we go.
The back 5 will be Edison. I would prefer to see Cancelo play on the right-hand side, but that requires a good left back, which we don't have at the moment.
Yeah.
So at the moment, I'd say Walker, who I was never a fan of Walker. They got the wrong deal when they got Walker rather than Trippier.
Yeah.
But Walker has been improved as player.
Yeah.
He's not, for me, he's the most disagreeable character off the pitch, but on the pitch, he can do a job.
Yeah.
In the middle, Diaz and Stones for me. Laporte's injured at the moment,
okay.
I don't expect, even though I don't expect a Laporte to be the first choice immediately. But again, we've seen in the last couple of seasons that can vary. And then on the left wing, it will need to be Cancelo at the moment. Then through the middle, it's going to be Rodri, and then it's about whether they play double pivot. They play double pivot with Phillips if they're playing a tough team. And by tough team, I mean you're likely Liverpool, Chelsea. If Chelsea decide to come and play, sometimes Chelsea come to Man City, they don't decide not to come and play.
Hey, let's not talk about that 6-0, all right? All
right. But again, your teams like your Brighton who can push on.
Yeah.
Because where they had Bernardo last time and Gundogan, they just got overrun sometimes.
Yeah.
So if it's a single pivot, I'm saying. There's one man there, and then there's 3 supporting Haaland, and I think Kevin plays up as part of that higher up the pitch 3. So you've got Kevin in the middle, because I think this is, as I say, I think Haaland being there is going to benefit Kevin. It's going to be faster play. Kevin will push the ball through. On the left-hand side, I would like Foden. I think Foden kept on falling over your man Sterling.
Yeah.
Sterling kept on getting in the way of Foden.
Yeah.
I think Foden's got a lot of scope to develop. So Foden or Grealish on the left-hand side. On the right-hand side, it's either going to be Mahrez or Bernardo
Mhm.
or a bit of Palmer.
Mhm.
And then, of course, you've got an extra player there that you can either have in a double pivot, or you might see something very rare.
Mhm.
You might see, and it's been talked about on Blue Moon,
Mhm.
you might see two strikers up front.
Mhm.
Could be a huge shock, but Alvarez might play off the shoulder of Haaland, or vice versa.
Mhm.
Because Alvarez he's very versatile. He comes with a big reputation.
Mhm.
He'll be very fit because
Yeah.
he's just finished the end of a season.
Yeah.
So he might get some minutes. We'll have to see.
That, you talk about that double striker. It takes me back to Dzeko and Aguero days, like that sort of chemistry, which was amazing to watch at times, right? So maybe you might get that sort of late Alvarez pick paying off really, really well, right? Depending, again, like you keep mentioning, how you kind of build out your roster, right?
It's how you build up your roster.
Yeah, for sure.
So I think Alvarez is going to be an interesting pick but it's going to be a gamble about how long can you wait.
Yeah, interesting.
Because he might just not get minutes at all.
Yeah.
So I would watch closely. I think City are playing 2 matches in America.
Mhm.
Then it's going straight to the Charity Shield. Watch carefully because Alvarez might start going a lot earlier in rosters.
Okay, so now let's quickly touch on the 5 sub rules World Cup. I mean, a lot of people at times are like, oh, Pep will definitely make a lot of subs, But
He doesn't.
He doesn't. that's exactly right. I remember watching games where Pep would not make a single sub. I think maybe one that immediately comes to mind was the game against Crystal Palace. Was it last season? You guys drew 0-0 or something like that.
Yeah.
He didn't make a single substitution. You're thinking, do something, change something around, and he stuck with it. And I don't know. Do you think like either the World Cup or the 5 subs is gonna impact Fantrax managers, or they should be drafting differently because of it?
I'm going to say no and yes, but I'll explain myself. So no, because Pep ain't going to change. He's a stubborn man.
Yeah.
He's again. Back to the Klopp comparison. Klopp is pragmatic.
Yeah.
He's not got as much pride. He'll swap a player if he thinks the player needs to be swapped.
Yeah.
Pep will sometimes have the attitude of, okay, them lot got themselves into this mess.
Yeah.
They're going to let themselves out of it.
Yeah.
On the other hand, Gundogan, he was a substitute in that very final game, so he can do it.
Yeah.
So I would like him to use the substitutes more. I'd like him for Palmer and McAtee to get games.
Yeah.
Otherwise, why have they been kept with the squad and not gone on loan?
Yeah.
In terms of the World Cup, Haaland's not going. Mahrez is not going.
Mm-hmm.
And this will be really good for their rest.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're looking at your roster on rest day and thinking, on draft day and thinking, well, I actually like a player who's not going to the World Cup because I think they'll get a rest.
Mm-hmm.
Because sometimes I've heard that about Salah.
Yeah.
Then go for it. On the other hand, people have said, well, they're going to be a bit rusty if they have a bit of a rest. I don't think they'll be sat at home with their feet up.
Yeah.
They won't be watching the football like you and me. They'll be out training.
Yeah, for sure. All right. Let's move on to our next segment then, draft advice. Okay. I mean, we kind of did touch on this though. Like your first pick, KDB.
Yeah. Easy.
I don't think we need to go into much detail or convince any Fantrax manager why you should be drafting him, right? Let's maybe move on to something a bit more interesting. The next 3 picks. You did mention Cancelo, right? So let's take him out. Let's put him with that first pick sort of thing, So now let's see who are your next 3 picks for Man City.
Okay. Haaland.
Yeah.
If you're a gambler, and the rest of your roster supports it, and that you're ready to pick him in the first round, you're ready to pick him around 6, then he's your man.
Yeah.
If you don't want to pick him between 6 and 9, and a lot of it will be recency, so a lot of it will depend upon how he plays in these pre-season matches and how he plays on Charity Shield. But I would reckon that he's gone. So you have to make your decision quick there.
Mm-hmm.
Is that your first player? Going down the tariff, Mahrez.
Yeah.
We've already talked. He's not going to the World Cup.
Yeah.
He's a high-scoring player if he gets the minutes. He's low minutes previously. Do you take that gamble? Again, we talked about maybe trying to catch him at the start of the third round. He might be going in the second.
Yeah.
But you've got Phil Foden. He's got great scope. He can massively improve. He doesn't have Sterling in front of him. He kept on tripping over Sterling. They kept on tripping over each other.
Yeah.
They got in each other's space.
Yeah.
Does he move forward? I think he could make big advances into playing with Haaland.
Yeah.
Or do you go for the steady Eddie,
Yeah.
Bernardo Silva,
Yeah.
the man with the big points? This man scored 387 points.
Yeah.
Do you say, I want somebody steady? I want somebody steady in the second round.
Yeah.
I'll go for Bernardo Silva. So I've given you it depends upon your what's your risk
Yeah.
taste? What's your taste for risk like?
Okay, lovely. And hidden gem, what do you have up your sleeve?
Well, hidden gem. I mean, you talked earlier about Delap. If Delap goes to, it's a bit of a cheeky one.
Yeah.
If Delap goes to Southampton,
Yeah.
I would take him as the hidden gem.
Yeah.
Sadly, City are quite exposed.
Yeah.
There's no people there that aren't known about.
Mm-hmm.
I suppose the hidden gem I'd go for is Gundogan. He's not changed.
Yeah.
He's not gone. People were saying he was going to go.
Yeah.
He's in his last year.
Mm-hmm.
So either Pep's kept him for a reason or he goes late in the window.
Interesting.
Either way, I think he's worth looking at as a late pickup because people won't be going for him.
Yeah.
He's covered over compared to these elite high young men. He's an old timer.
Yeah. It's very interesting that Grealish didn't come up in any of these picks.
Well, yeah, you've heard my attitude. I wish the young man well.
Yeah.
He's not my favourite player.
Yeah.
He runs up and down, and one day it'll click.
Yeah.
And I hope that happens quickly.
Okay.
But if you listen to the fans at the ground, they know the word Grealish, and the word Grealish is like unreliable prima donna, and a few adjectives in front of that.
Yeah.
But
Very
that's what the fans say.
I mean, listen, the fans are sometimes the best sources of information, right? You don't always want to believe all the news that you read out there on the internet. Some people can generate the most amount of bullshit just for clicks and likes and all that sort of shit.
Grealish is a merchandiser's dream because he will get news. He will get news, and that sells. So I can see why I was brought in. I can see it being a good deal. It just hasn't delivered on the pitch just yet. I hope it will do. But if I was going to be drafting, I wouldn't be drafting Grealish above those other midfielders.
Okay, very interesting. All right, now let's move on to, I think, our final segment, the trading. Unless there's any other notes or any things you want to kind of add, maybe from the prep that you've had.
No, that's all good to me. I'll go straight to trading.
Brilliant. So trading, do you look at form? Do you look at fixtures? Do you typically do 2-for-1 trades? I don't know. We've heard people mention 4-for-1 trades as well. I don't know how wild you are in the Fantrax community, but what's your secret sauce, Ben?
Well, I'm influenced by some great traders that I've seen.
Yeah.
Chuck Booth Sport.
Yeah.
Totti Andor, and somebody probably new to people, Val Skoda, who's coming in. These are people that see the community and being in a league as a chance to make conversation, have a bit of fun, get to know, and they all believe in what I would call a win-win situation. They'll try and get inside the head of the person that you want to be trading with. Try and understand what they're after, and see if there's a fit in your team. See if they can see a fit. So I'm not about spotting a special win where I can defeat somebody. I'm looking for a win-win situation. Ideally, I'm looking not at fixtures as such. I'm looking more at form. Again, I follow Draft Flag quite a bit. He's very good at seeing when players are due to developing their form. They're anticipating bigger rewards coming up. And to try and see if there's a fit. Maybe you've got too many good forwards and the other team's got too many good midfielders. Try and find a fit like that. That's, I think, sometimes it doesn't work. but you've got to know the other player, the other manager, and that's very, very useful. A bit like, those conversations. I'm not one of those carpet bombers, is that what they call it? Where they where they throw out huge numbers of deals, hoping that one's going to get picked up. That doesn't interest me. I love the community. It makes me enjoy my football, and I enjoy the chat. So I'm more interested in how can I make an attractive deal, and sometimes it might be you need to offer something big to somebody for them to be interested. And so give away some players that are good names. A good name is always good for trading. So if in doubt, for me, for this season in terms of my roster collection, as opposed to the next bright young thing who's done fantastic and scored 93 goals in the championship, versus somebody who's steady and got reliable form, I'm not going to be. It's like, do you go Mitrovic or do you go Mount? Mount every day for me. Yeah.
Love it. Okay, excellent. This has been a great chat, by the way. You've really opened up my eyes on Man City assets. Like I'm not sure what to do now. Like, I'm gonna have to go back to the drawing board and shuffle a bunch of assets around. Love it, absolutely love it. But yeah, listeners. Yeah, go for it.
Are you pleased to get Sterling?
Yes, but I'm not gonna lie. It feels weird. It feels very weird to see him in a Chelsea shirt. It also feels weird having gone from the likes of Eden Hazard to Raheem Sterling, right? Don't get me wrong.
That's a step
both
down.
players. Yeah, I mean, it is a step down, but Raheem Sterling's numbers in the last few seasons, you can't deny them, right? Yeah. He is able to score goals. He can score hat-tricks as well, not just ones or two. Like, he's had a few of them, right? And he has something to prove, I want to say. Big World Cup tournament coming along as well. Boy from Brent finally back home in a sense. So, you know what? It could be a lot worse. So I'm excited to see the potential of things, especially after having gone through that weird emotional stuff with Lukaku. We thought that, finally, Drogba 2.0 was coming home. He's finally gonna, be the player that we hoped that he was gonna be. And that turned out to be absolute shit. So, honestly, I feel like we have nothing to lose at this point. Again, we don't know how Tuchel's gonna kind of shape up as well in general, right? Who knows if Raheem is gonna be starting every single game. Sure, he's the highest paid player at the club right now, but that doesn't mean shit if the squad is not able to play together, right? So let's see. Yeah, that was a very long-winded response to.
Oh no, it's good. Good to hear.
Yeah. But yeah, that's all we had planned for the pod. Everything we kind of wanted to discuss. Ben, do you have any final pieces of advice? Anything you kind of want to drop? Any information?
Just for people to enjoy themselves,
Love it.
There's so much hassle and trouble in the world. This is a place to escape.
Yeah.
Going right back to safety and happiness. This is a safe place where we can not spend our time slagging off each other, but just encourage each other, and have a good time. Escape from the world.
Definitely. Yeah, like Rasa always says, just have fun, man.
Yeah. Fantastic. It's been great to be here. Enjoyed the conversation. Thank you.
Same here, mate. Thoroughly enjoyed it. All right, listeners, we'll catch you on the next episode. I'm not sure. I think it might be Brentford. It might be... Who is it? I don't know. There's someone coming along. Just look out for us. Anyways, until then...
Happy birthday to you.
Thank you so much. Until then, peace.
Hey.